Well, hi folks, I'm just going to show you how I save me tomato seeds now. It must be an heirloom variety, so not an F1 hybrid or anything, because if you use a hybridised fruit then they won't come true to seed. So you can use anything you like as long as it's like an heirloom tomato. So I'm going to just show you using this one, but mainly I'm going to just use this method to keep some seeds from this giant thing I've grown, because that's an open pollinated one, that's an heirloom one, so it'll be as good as to use that as well. Now there's plenty of ways of doing it. Now people think it's just as simple as opening up your tomato, finding the seeds like that, scooping the seeds out like so, and then drying them. But the thing is, if you look closely at a seed, a tomato seed, they're actually covered in like a gel coating, and that's to stop them germinating inside the tomato as it grows. So if I was to say just dry that out as it is with the gel coating on these little seeds, you can wash quite a bit of it off. It still have the gel coating on, the jelly coating, and then once you try to sow them again, that gel coating would sort of reinvigorate itself, come back and either stop the tomato from germinating, or perhaps because it's got sugar and everything it might start to rot. So what you do is, this is called the fermentation method. I've just found out about this. The thing to do is scrape as many of the seeds out as you can, and then place them with all the gel and stuff in a container, in a glass like so. And then what you do is get some water and just add a little bit of water to the container you're keeping them in, like so. And then what you do with this is you let this ferment, or basically start to slowly rot, and what that'll do is that'll help loosen all the pulp and all the jelly off the tomato seeds. And then in about 3 or 4 days, I'll try and show you it, there will probably be some mould and stuff on the top, but that doesn't matter at all. And then after about, like I say, after about 3 or 4 days, keep it somewhere warm. It'll start to smell a bit slightly mouldy and a bit funky, but then you'll be able to pass them through a sieve and all the gel coating will come off, and then hopefully you'll have a nice clean seed which you'll be able to keep. So I'll show you that in a couple of days when it started to ferment. Well, hi folks, I've given these tomatoes about 4 days now, and as you can see, it's gone a bit manky and it smells awful, really sickly. But if you see the seeds, they've sort of all sunk to the bottom, and hopefully the pulp and all the goo and the gel on it should have softened up. So I'm just going to give them a quick rinse off through a sieve and push all the bits through with the brush. Just make sure I get every single one out. So it should all go through most of it. And hopefully have some quite clean seeds without any of that gel that protects them from germinating around them, without having to spend hours scrubbing them like you would do if you didn't sort of leave them to ferment like this way. So it shouldn't take too long. I think that's probably just about it. The thing you can do now is to make sure that your seeds are actually viable and fertile is put them back in the glass, and any ones that float, discard those, because they're either going to be immature ones or infertile ones. So you can put them back in. I've not got every single bit of the pulp and everything off, but it's 90% off. So I'll just get these out. I'll do the rest when I'm not filming it. Put a bit more water in. Where we at? Where's the camera? And if you see, they're nice and clean now. There's an odd little bit of stuff floating about, and there's none floating, which means that generally they'll be pretty well fertile and good to go. So drying them now. I don't dry them on kitchen paper, because what can happen sometimes is they can just the kitchen paper can get stuck to the seeds, and then you end up trying to pick the seeds off. So all I do is just stick them on a plate tend to get stuck because they're wet. So put them on a plate like so, and just leave the water to evaporate. And then in about a week's time they should be dry and good to go. And then all I do is I just put them in a paper envelope somewhere dry, and that's them. So that's them. They're all nice and clean now. If you can see, there's none of that gel left on any of them. All nice and clean, just by leaving them in some water to basically go rotten, which sort of disintegrates all the pulp and all the gel. So I'll just show you in about 4 or 5 days once they've dried out what they look like, and then I'll show you how I store them, which is dead easy. Well, hi folks, that's the tomato seeds now. That's after about 4 or 5 days, just letting them dry off. As you can see, they're all completely separate, all loose, none of that stuff stuck to them, none stuck together. So now it's just a matter of storing them, and I just find that storing them in an envelope or something like that's perfectly fine for me. You could store them, I suppose, in a little grip seal bag, but I find it better in something like paper bags, paper envelopes, or little paper packets, because then they've got a little chance to breathe. You know, they can get a bit moist in there, say you've not got them 100% dry. So basically just stick them in an envelope, something made out of paper, leave them somewhere quite cool, not necessarily in a fridge or anything, but just a cool room in a drawer. And I've had tomato seeds that I found which are 5 years old germinate perfectly, so they do seem to keep quite well. So that's it folks, just a quick video on how I store and prepare my tomato seeds using the fermentation method.